pray, and now I meditate. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. 'Cause all the weight is off my shoulders, and it's all because of you. Everywhere I look, the sun is shining. I see the oceans, radiant blues. The majestic beauty of creation surrounds me. The joy of living fills me through and through. Oh, I feel brand new. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. 'Cause all the weight is off my shoulders, and it's all because of you. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. I feel brand new. 'Cause all the weight is off my shoulders, and it's all because of you. The presence of love is flowing in me. I walk in it each day. Like the northern star in the midnight sky, it illuminates my way. Like the shade trees in summer, to protect my weary soul. And in the midst of my journey, I know that it's all under control. There is only one love and one presence. Greater is that presence within me than anything in this world. There is nothing but God in all the universe, nothing but God. And there is nothing but God in all the universe, nothing but God. Spirit watches over me no matter where I go. On a ship, a plane, an automobile, it's comforting to know. If I get a little depressed watching the evening news, I remember and I whisper the simple prayer of truth. There is only one course and one presence. Greater is that presence within me than anything in this world, than anything in this world. There is nothing but God in all the universe, nothing but God. There is nothing but God in all the universe, nothing but God. There is one power. There is one presence. There is one power. And that power is love. There is nothing but God in all the universe, nothing but God. their schedule that you neglect to call your old friends. You might not hear the telephone ring as often as you like to. It doesn't mean your connections come to an end. Sometimes we can all get wrapped up in our own list of to-dos. Just remember to reach out. You never know what someone is going through. Oh, don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. Don't you get so swept up. Remember to take time out. Spend some time at the park. Enjoy life's gifts. Life is truly precious. Focus on what's right now. Tell everybody what their love has meant. Don't let the years pass without saying how you feel. Sing these words to yourself, and their meanings will all be revealed. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. You might think you have a long time to live. You probably do. You have so much to give. But you gotta take time to appreciate and celebrate the people you love. Oh, don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. Don't you forget, don't you forget, don't you forget to make a life. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. I know I was born with a purpose. I try so hard to do all the good I can. But oftentimes I wonder, is it enough when I try to make a difference? I believe I was meant to be a blessing, and there's a song in my heart that I must sing, bringing true and flowing deep. There's a voice that says to me, greater things you must do. Greater things you must do. Greater things. The past seems like it's far in the distance. I'm reaching for new heights and higher planes. I'm not satisfied with the status quo or what used to be. It's time I grab a hold and live my wildest dreams. My faith is strong and my options are endless. I'm looking up the road, and as far as it stretches, I see possibilities. The world is calling to me. Greater things, greater things you must do. Greater things, greater things, greater things you must do. Greater things. So many miracles are waiting to express and unfold. I gotta use my faith and my courage to be bold, to answer the call to do greater things, greater things you must do. Greater things, greater things, greater things you must do. Greater things you must do. Greater things you must do. Greater things you will do. Greater things. Come close, relax, and let down your guard. Can you imagine for a moment how rare you are? You were designed to express your highest potential, like a king, like a queen. Your identity is special, no human hand, nothing unseen can stop this heavenly happening. The day you were born.
Infinite Spirit, Grand Architect, and loving, compassionate Maker of us all, I give thanks this day knowing that this is a wonderful, glorious day. And I'm knowing that my body temple is the temple of the living, loving God. Every atom and cell is filled with the healing power and the loving presence of God. I know that my body temple is God's. It is sacred. It is divinely blessed. I give thanks knowing that this same body temple has given me wonderful service in God's works. I give thanks too knowing that the wholeness of God within me is experienced and expressed as I feed my body temple the right information in nutrition, in exercise, in whatever good this body temple needs for God's works here and now. I speak a special word of healing, of renewing, revitalizing, and repatterning. And so I give thanks speaking this word of wholeness, of health and well-being for each and every one moving through any kind of health challenges. And so I call forth peace of body, mind, and soul. And so it is, and I celebrate our joy. Amen.
Welcome, and we just affirm this day as a day of healing and renewal for everybody here, that we opened up with this prayer, knowing the truth of who each of you are. And I'm Reverend Jay Lang, and welcome to you if you happen to be here for the first time or the first time in a while or your 150th time. We just welcome all of you. And we especially this morning like to start with a little music, and Narayan and Janet are here for Bring It Forward. Let's welcome them.
We're so happy to be here. You need to offer us home next time so we can do church in our yard. That could be dangerous. Y'all want to stand up for this? It's a really cool song by the Rainbow Tribe.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, thank you. What a great way to open up as greetings to everybody here. I remember that before pandemic, we would stand up for that opening song and then greet each other, but now we're not sure how to greet each other anymore. Do the handshake, a hug, or a namaste, or like kind of like this, hey, how you doing? So just look around you a little bit and just say welcome to each other around you. And welcome to everybody online, too. It's so good to have everybody here today. We like to begin our service with our vision and mission statement. If you'll look up on the screen and read with me. We are an inclusive community for spiritual growth and compassionate action. And our mission, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. A great affirmation for us today and for us in our daily lives. Thank you for being a part of affirming that and knowing its truth. We'd like to begin just today by honoring Black History Month. I want to make sure that we affirm that the spiritual leaders in this center believe that Black lives do matter. And I've been quite concerned. I just wanted to make one comment. I mean, you could fill up a couple days with Black history easily. But one thing that I wanted to make a comment about is my concern about the censorship and banning of certain books. And I'd like to say that whenever I hear that a book is banned, then I make sure and go read it, because it must be something really good in it, you know? Something, maybe I don't agree with everything, but something, you know, something to stretch my mind a little bit and to have diverse views. And I think that's really valuable. Diversity and diverse views makes us wiser and more compassionate, more empathetic. It opens us up and stretches us, and it's just important to continue to do that and to honor those. I mean, the books that we're talking about are, some are not newer books. They're Pulitzer Prize winning, Newbery winners. These are important authors to read, including newer books that are new voices. And for myself, and I think a lot of us in the last decade, we are just beginning to hear about stories of history that we had missed. Alex Brown's great book, Hidden History in Napa Valley. There's a new one that just came out on the Chinese, what's it called? Chinese in Napa Valley, the forgotten community that built wine country. That it's so important to hear things like the Tulsa Massacre, the Black Wall Street, that I didn't know anything about until about 7 or 8 years ago. And now they're wanting to shut that information down. We just heard about it. And how the first slaves were brought into the Americas in 1619, much earlier than I thought it had. So we need to continue to stand on, to advocate for a variety of voices. And the way we do that is buy books, read websites and blogs and podcasts, and open up our mind that way. We don't need to wait for someone to educate us what we don't know. Let's reach out and do that and be curious. I mean, that's what this whole month is about curiosity as our superpower. Unless we exercise those muscles, we can't do that. And as part of that, I want to begin a series every month, probably on Fridays. I haven't set dates for it. There's just going to be a public social forum on different issues. Each month, a different issue. I thought since we were kind of missing February, I thought after the service next week I would do one on revolutionary love, because I'd like to talk about where to move forward with this idea of revolutionary love that we've been talking about. But then March is women's history, so something on marching women that have marched for rights now and then. April is Earth Day, so maybe we do something about environmental issues. May is Asian American history, so something, maybe look at that book about the history of Chinese in Napa Valley. So just kind of go through that, and this would be for our community, but the bigger community, to invite them in and have some dialogue and go from ideas to action and how to make a beloved community. So I'm excited about that idea, and you'll hear more about that in time to come. The other thing I want to let you know is that we do want to start outdoor services. However, we really need to have people who are committed to helping set up for outdoor services, as well as the upcoming Sip and Savor you'll hear talk about that I'll talk about in a minute. So if you can do that, if you could sign up, there's a volunteer form at the welcome table for special events, and that would be what that would be for, is just special events set up, so those services that are outdoors, Sip and Savor, and that would tell us that you might be interested on certain Sundays, not every Sunday, but certain Sundays, to help us out with that. And then I do want to mention the Sip and Savor, very important event that's on May 6th for us, that we'll host here in our courtyard. And it's a multifaceted thing. We do, it'll be our third annual, it's like our 6th annual Sip and Savor, but our 3rd annual where we give awards, our Compassionate Heart Awards. And right now we're taking applications for nominations for that. I sent an email out this morning. Also, there's pieces of paper out there for you to be able to use that gives you a link to sign up to nominate somebody for the Compassionate Heart Awards. We already have one so far, and we expect more. Deadline is March 10th. But then also in just terms of the event itself, we'd love for you to volunteer. If you sign up for special events, then that's an indication you want to be part of that. We want you to donate to our auction that we'll have. If you have any things like, if you know restaurants for gift certificates or gift cards or art or jewelry or wine tastings or wine, all these things we want to put as part of the auction. And then, or if you know wineries who could pour, that's also helpful. As well as we're looking for sponsors. So all of that is on a form we have out there to look at. But above all, it'll just be a great event. We've had some wonderful events in the past that have just really been lovely to create and add to that. Here's the one of the Compassionate Heart Awards we've had. And the 3 recipients we had last year, which were Roger Collinson, Jenny Olson, and David Busby. And we've had, I don't know if I don't have that other slide, but we've had a number of people before that. So it's an exciting event and would love for you to be a part of it. And you'll hear more and more about it, but if you might have something to auction, a service or something. I mean, Astra Fox gave away her a concert that we had and different things like that, wine tours, so a lot of creative things. So if you have any questions about it, talk to Mary in the office or me or Karen Reed back there. Anybody that knows, anybody on the board would be glad to talk to you about it. So consider that. And then we have today, what's exciting is after this service, we have a pancake breakfast. If you're interested, they will also, if you're not into the carbs of pancakes, there's fruit and yogurt, and they'll cook eggs for you, you know, sort of like a short order cook out there. So they'll cook whatever you want. It's a fundraising for the Spanish-speaking ministry. Donation is requested, suggested donation of $10, but it is suggested. They just want to be able to serve you today, and so glad that you can be a part of that. And then on March 19th, we have a special guest singer. She's from Southern California, Patricia Bahia. And she actually has a number of songs that are in TV shows and commercials. You might not have you've seen her perform them, but you've heard the soundtrack and you wouldn't even know it was her. So and then in the afternoon, from 2 to 4, they're having a concert. Astor Fox will also, a man named Austin Willisey, who's out of Santa Rosa, will be here, and they'll do what's called the Songwriter Circle. They're all songwriters, and they'll be singing their own songs, and I think it'll be fun. And in Patricia's case, she'll go, "Oh, I know that song. I've heard that song." She's not heard her sing it. So it'll be great to have them all here. Tickets are $20 pre-sale, and you can get those online on our website. They're on there. And then other coming in April, Reverend Dr. Edward Villoon will be here. He is currently the spiritual leader of our whole movement and also the senior minister at Santa Rosa Center for Spiritual Living. It'll be great to have him here. And then, of course, May 6th is our Sip and Savor. If you would like your peace pole at your house, brought to your house as part of a donation fundraiser, feel free, your information is on the website. And then please know that we are here for you in any way to support you. There's prayer requests in the lobby you can fill out, or after the service, the practitioners will be here to pray with you. And with that in mind, we'll move right into our sacred service, a sacred part of our service.
What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be
Could it be other than divine?
In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite. Oh.
In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite. Oh. The infinite.
What is this life flowing through my veins?
The infinite one, the infinite life, this peace and love and joy, always present in and through everything, everyone, everywhere, without exception. This infinite one speaks through me now. This infinite one hears through each one, listening now. We are all a part of this infinite oneness. So rich, so beautiful, so lovely. And as we come together today, we are reminded of our connection, our oneness, our beauty, love, and joy, and this peace that permeates all of it beyond human understanding. So knowing that this is what we come today to do together, to be in communion, to remember our truth, I bless this time together. Knowing that it is all perfect, whole, and complete as we are together one. And I know that the law comes to meet this and says yes to all of the impress that we bring, all of this joy and peace, all of this love. And knowing this prayer is already done and so, I just proclaim it, and so it is. Good morning. Now everyone can hear me. I'm Georgia Davis. I'm pleased to serve here as a licensed prayer practitioner and as an intern to the ministerial service that is the Centers for Spiritual Living. And so today I just wanted to talk a little bit about this curiosity of life. You know, it's funny, as I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking of a little, it always gets me choked up, advice that my mother, BB, gave me at a time when things were really challenging in my life and I felt like I had nothing to give. And my mother said, just ask people about themselves. They really want to talk about themselves. And you know what? It really worked. It's very true. Because that's the thing is once we are curious about other people, then we can grow more. We can learn more. We can walk in other shoes. But it's funny because we all want to share. We want to share who we are. We want to share what we have to give. But it's that give and take of life. You know, when we breathe in, we must breathe out. And so curiosity, it's funny because wasn't there a time in your life that you thought it wasn't appropriate to be curious? That you should know everything? Like, what age is that when we think, you know, we stop saying why to everything? Think about all the little kids that you know, and that's all they ask. Why? But what a blessing when they say why. I remember it was the whys of my children that made me learn, like, why I have my name. Because then I had to turn to my mom and say, why do I have this name? Sorry, my middle name. And I learned a sweet story. But, you know, we get to ask why. When did it start being rude to ask people why? Why do you have that name? Why do you have your hair that color? Why do you live in this place? Why do you have that job? But that's the thing, is that when we do ask the why, people want to give. And if they don't, they can make up a story. It's really not up to us to decide what truth they share with us. But when we are curious, we can grow and we can have more and more and more than just this experience. So when we talk about that infinite one, it is within the infinite one to ask why and to be curious and to find out how it is to walk in other steps, in other shoes, in other lives. I mean, how many people grew up not asking their grandparents their story? Well, luckily, I grew up with my grandmothers who told me a lot of their stories, and I get to carry them. Unfortunately, I didn't have to say why, ask why, because they just told me. But so maybe we can hold the why within us, and then people can share. We just make that space for them. The silent why. So thanks for being here today. Thanks for giving me your ear. And, you know, you can ask me why anytime. Blessed be. Because I'll share it with you. So we have a little more music from Janet and Narayan. My mom never told me to be like not myself.
What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? Here's a song idea we got from Yogananda. He said the human mind is a broadcasting machine. The human mind is a broadcasting machine. Everything you're thinking flows out in a stream. Thoughts can trap or set you free. So think of what you want to be.
Human mind is a broadcasting machine.
Human mind will give you your dream. Be in love each day and follow your dream. What you think is what you get. Your mind goes soaring off like a jet. Human mind will give you a dream. Ooh, ain't a strength to rise above distraction by sipping at the nectar of your heart. Silently you go with interaction, 'cause your mind makes true the things inside your heart. To the masses, that you choose to live in peace and happiness. Manifest serenity. Think that's what you want to be, and only the good, like a wave, will come on in.
Human mind is a broadcasting machine. Mind is a broadcasting machine.
mind will give you a dream. Gonna give you a dream.
Your dream.
I'm just tinkering. You're a hugger. Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Way to go. Well done. So this year we are, our theme is to live out loud. And I know I get up here every Sunday and go, well, if you'll just do this, if you'll just do that, then your life will be better. But I want to make sure you know something, that you're perfect the way you are. I believe that you are whole, complete, and fabulous just the way you are. So it's not a when you do this or if you do this. It's not a conditional thing at all. This is, in our vision, we talk about unconditional love. In Washington, they always talk about think tanks, right? I think right here we have a compassion tank where we're practicing love with each other. Rumi was asked, the Persian mystical poet, was asked, he said, when people ask me what I do, I say, I create beauty in all things. So if people ask you what we do here, just say, we create beauty in all things. Or at least we try to. We make an honest effort. Sometimes it's a little messy, like Valerie Carr's been talking about. Love is sometimes raw and messy and imperfect, and yet it is perfect in the way we express it. The other thing we do, I was hearing a story the other day about a Protestant church where there was a young 4-year-old who was with his family during the service, and they were in the middle of a prayer, and the boy was just too much rambunctious, and his dad just lost his patience, picked the kid up like a football and took him down the aisle, and as he was leaving, the boy yelled out, "Y'all pray for me, okay?" So we will not cart anybody out. But if ever you need prayer, just say, hey, y'all pray for me. Because that's another thing we do well. We consider it part of our vision and mission to hold the truth, to hold the love, and then to practice the love as well. So we invite you to be part of this prayer and be in this truth of who we are. Now today we're continuing the theme about curiosity being our superpower. And today in particular I'm talking about how the world is an oyster. Now what a great concept of this is that our irritations, just like an oyster, which starts with a grain of sand, right? Our irritations can turn into inspirations if we are conscious and allow this to be. If we're willing to allow Spirit to create through us as us. There's a great quote by Stephen Nachmanovich, I guess is how you say his name. He's a musician. He said, we provide both the irritation and the inspiration for each other. the grist for each other's pearl making. True, right? So, sometimes you might tell somebody that you're the bane of my existence. Instead of that, you can say, you're the grist for my pearl making. So just turn towards a neighbor or two and just tell them, you are the grist for my pearl making. Yeah? So go ahead. You are the grist for my pearl making. So I wish it was always that joyfully we could express that. Sometimes it's out of frustration. It is out of that irritation. And yet it is still the grist for our pearl making. And what I know is that if we're able to practice love, practice kindness and compassion and consciousness, that we can turn things into the pearl, creating beauty in all things. Next week, we're going to be launching a program that's a spring renewal program. I know Lent starts this week, I think. We're not really a center that practices Lent. In fact, we're often, it's more about renewing. So we often call it a relentless practice because it's without Lent, relent. But it is about a renewal, a revigorating, and it'll be a 6-week practice, I think, 6 weeks, yeah. And just daily affirmation. Each one only takes 15 minutes. So you'll hear more about that and be handed out. And we'll also have a private Facebook page that you can go in and share with other people, and we'll post memes on it and things like that. So we'll talk more about that next week. So the question is, how can we create this pearl from the irritation to create beauty in all things? We've been talking about this revolutionary love, and I think for me that's a key. But to start with, the first point I'd make today is to be mindful. Mindful in body, mind, and soul. It might sound like an oxymoron to think about being mindful in our body, but it's being mindful of our body, but in our body at the same time. When things get uncomfortable, sometimes we disassociate, especially when we're younger. We separate, we become numb to it. We kind of live out of our head and don't really feel the feelings that are necessary in our soul. And I always say it's good to notice, so be mindful, notice how your response is, feel what you need to feel, and then make a choice out of that rather than our reactions, our quick responses to people, that we step back and do that. In my email this week, I shared about a professor I had when I was in ministerial school. And right away, I had judged him to be arrogant and stubborn and righteous. Anytime anybody disagreed with him, he'd vehemently shoot the person down. And because he was in control of the classroom, that was, the people just were feeling frustrated. And of course, I took that on as somebody I needed to oppose because they were being mean to people. So I spent the first few weeks, really arguing with him and opposing him. But then I soon realized that I was that which I had judged him to be. And I remember that was somebody told me that one time, that which we judge somebody to be, there's part of that inside of us. So I switched a little bit. I began to observe that, notice that, and I became much more peaceful and compassionate. And I actually got a lot out of the class because he really was a good teacher. He just had this way about him. But as long as I let him be who he was, and I also had the opportunity at a retreat to partner with him randomly away from the classroom And we connected on a deep level. And I don't know if that's because I let go of the judgment, or he was out of the classroom, or perhaps I just think mainly I just gave him some space to be who he was, and there was a place to be vulnerable. And I think love is a natural state of who we are as long as we remove the barriers that are there. I also know when we are allowing Spirit to create through us, we do create this beauty, create these miracles, and are this loving presence in the world. I can think of two examples of in my life when I almost drowned, literally like died. And one, I was unconscious because I was maybe, I think like 5 or 6 years old. And I was, my brother's 5 years older than me, my sister 3 years older than me. And we were in this river, and there was a current that hit, and suddenly I was swimming out with them. I was, not as tall as them, and I was over my head, and suddenly I started going down the current. And my brother just reached down and plucked me out of it. He claims to this day he saved my life. I don't know, but I think he probably did. I don't know where my parents were. There's that thing about, they used to just let us do whatever we want to. I don't think that was such a good idea. I'm telling you. People claim that we're too controlling of our kids now. Maybe we need to be. The other one was a more conscious thing. I was in my 40s, and I was a teen advisor, and I had a group of teens at the beach. We were all from Colorado, and we just didn't get to the beach very often. So we were at the Southern California beach, and it was just a beautiful day, and I loved to do open water swimming. Had done it in lakes and along the Texas coast in the ocean there. So I got out into California. I got out beyond the breakers, the waves, and I didn't know about a California riptide. And suddenly I was tired from swimming, and I was going out to sea. I literally, and I even bobbed underwater at one point. I go, geez, I got to do something, So I prayed. I said, God, help me. Not only I'm not ready to die, but there's a lot of people on this beach who'll be traumatized if I die here. There's going to be a lot of people upset about this. Just God, help me. And there was first an intuition to get on my back and just float and feel my breath get back, because I was breathing rapidly and in fear, and then the voice came and said, 1 stroke at a time. So I just did one really healthy backstroke, and then another one, and another one, just one. So I could not imagine getting to the shore, but I could do 1 stroke at a time. And I did that, and I could feel myself moving, and finally got to the waves, the breakers, and that took me the way in. And I was in the shallow water. No one had knew the experience I had just had, and I didn't know how to explain it. And I kind of held that story to myself. I told to a couple people, but they didn't really understand how deep it was. And then I read Michael Beckwith, a spiritual teacher, had a similar experience, almost exactly, maybe in the same beach, I don't know, but it was in Southern California, where he was drowning and prayed to Spirit, and Spirit brought in these 3 big waves, just roller waves that took him to shore. So I was just reaffirmed, okay, that was real. That wasn't me making up stuff. And what I know is that when we can notice, step away from those intense feelings, like our judgments at least, and then feel what we need to feel, and then we can choose from there. So I thought, I feel afraid. I am afraid, and yet just notice them. Don't react to it. Just choose 1 stroke at a time. Get back into alignment. And in that way, we can really practice this revolutionary love that's from this book from Valerie Carr called See No Stranger. And this week, we're going to focus on loving ourselves. What's interesting about her book is that she talks about loving ourselves as a feminist movement. And the reason why is women are so used to serving others, whether as a mom or an aunt or as a teacher, a nurse, in the roles they are in professions, social workers. that they're so used to that is that they tend to not think about themselves as much. But they realized there was this connection that really, if they don't take care of themselves, then they can't take care of others too. And people like Audre Lorde, I love her teaching. She says, caring for myself is not an act of self-indulgence. It's self-preservation, an act of political warfare. An interesting statement. Angela Davis, another interesting teacher in that way, she talks about self-care is for longevity. If we do not start practicing collective self-care now, there's no way to imagine, much less reach a time of freedom. And what I know is that we have two ministerial students. Terry Barrett is here from Washington. We had a class yesterday, and Georgia Davis, you know. And what I tell ministerial students is they need to practice self-care during ministerial school, because once you're a minister, you need to establish those practices if you're not already doing that. And that's true for all of us, that we need to practice self-care so that when it gets more stressful in our lives, busier, then we already have those ways of self-care established. I don't necessarily, spa days, massage are great, but they're also a privilege. And there's ways to self-care that don't require big financial outlays. And that's just to be gentle with ourselves in the way we treat ourselves. Establishing a clarity that we are a work in progress, that we're learning how to unconditional love. Notice your feelings of despair, of maybe not worthiness, and just tell yourself the truth in that. And remember that Valerie Carr, talks about the process of breathing, because she even compares self-care as like the birthing process. To breathe, that there's a transition sometimes, and sometimes we need to push through things. What I know is that the story of Adam and Eve has done a disservice to us in some ways, because it assumes that their suffering is part of life. One of the why questions people asked long ago was, why do we suffer? And somebody created a myth around it. Because in truth, the story of Adam and Eve is a combination of myths that's put into the Bible. It's not just one story. That's why there's two creation stories in one story. And it attempts to answer the question, why do we suffer? And it blames it on somebody for eating an apple. Right? Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent, so everybody's blaming somebody, right? But the truth is that there is pain in life. But the real story here, I think, is one of courage. That's what Valerie Carr talks about, is we have a DNA that reflects a certain amount of suffering from our ancestors. Especially if you have the ancestors of slaves, or people who survived the Holocaust, or internment, or abuse, or cycles of poverty, or cycles of abuse of different kinds. We can have that DNA in us, but we also have within us a DNA of courage that has persisted, that's done more than survived, that they have thrived, that they have created something new out of their struggles that was grist for their pearl making. And if we're able to breathe through that, like Valerie Carr's story of her birth process, when her mother whispered in her ear that the hot winds of the desert do not affect her, and that she imagined the courage that all of the women ancestors she had, And that was the courage for her to birth a baby and her courage to birth through pain in creating change in the world when it's uncomfortable, when it is painful. Just to breathe. The breath of life, we know that Hindus called prana, that it is life-giving. It's more than just oxygen. It is life force itself that can give us this. These acts of self-love as we push through and know this greater truth. The other thing I would say, and an interesting thing about Adam and Eve, that the story of them that they don't really talk about. So they had 2 sons, according to the story, Cain and Abel. And I guess the commandments, God hadn't kind of given them other guidelines, like don't kill other people. Because Cain, there's only 2 kids, and Cain killed his brother Abel. And then they made Cain leave. So they were banished out of the Garden of Eden. Now Cain's being banished. But here's the rest of the story that nobody talks about. He went to the land of Od, and there he found a whole community of people. And he married a woman and had kids, and that was the ancestors. Where did those people come from? I thought there were only 2 kids. There's a whole community over there. And here's the thing. When he struggled, when he was hurting, he went to a community and they embraced him. And he found a way to deal with his pain in community. But that's the interesting thing about it, that I think we can find in this way that we practice things to open up in a deeper way. Valerie Carr told this amazing story. That she's a Sikh, a different religion that is primarily in the Middle East, but there are groups here in the United States as well. And they are often term themselves as sage warriors. I would call that spiritual warriors, that they have courage and they are willing to fight for the right cause. So she told this story that in 1705, there was a great battle against another empire. And 40 soldiers had gone off to war, and they came back to their village. They abandoned their post. And there was a woman in that village who said, hold on, you cannot abandon your post. And her name was Ma Bego. And she turned to them and said, you will not abandon, you will fight, you will return to the fire, and I will lead you. So she donned the turban, which is traditional for the Sikhs, and she mounted a horse, and with a sword in her hand and fire in her eyes, she led them where no one else would. She became the one that they were waiting for. So she had this courage, and that's my final one about this is not abandoning your post. I'm not talking about fighting. I'm talking about your high resolve. Now, there are times that change is necessary. So Ernest Holmes, as our founder, had a great quote that nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. Nature demands the change in order that we may advance. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on the lips and a song in the heart. So we know changes happen. I'm not saying that you have to stay in a place, that's about abandoning your post. Your post is about creating love and beauty in the world. That's the post you don't abandon. You stay on a high resolve that this is what your mission in your life is. Here it is, President's Weekend. And I heard yesterday that Jimmy Carter is gone into hospice. And about 10 years ago, I watched him. We were on a big habitat project in Denver where we built 17 houses in 1 week. And he was there. And I watched him hammer. And I can tell you, somebody made a comment on Facebook about, I'm sure God will be waiting for him in heaven. And I'm saying God was with him right there. There was no waiting to go to heaven for him. He was already there. This man was a deeply spiritual man, deeply about service. And this is who inspires me today. to be about service, not to abandon my post because it's uncomfortable or because it's hard or because someone said something to me. You know, whatever. I'm here to serve. I'm here to love. And I encourage you to keep this post too. And allow the fire and passion of this courage that's within you. Courage means of the heart, the ancient way. Courage to stay in the heart and to be mindful. Ernest Holmes also said that we do not change all of the patterns of our thoughts in a moment. Rather, it takes place little by little until gradually the old thought patterns become transformed into new ones by some inner alchemy of the mind. So change doesn't happen overnight. We stay to the course to create. Whether it's about a relationship, a situation, about our own inner healing that we're seeking to do. Remember, the forgiveness work we do is not about the other person anyway. It's about not letting hate harden in us. To let go of things that bind us. That's also the etymology of the word forgive, is to let go of the binds, of the knots that tie us up, to let those go so that we can be free. And so we open up this way and know the truth of who we are, the love we have for each other, the love we have for all people. And what we know, Valerie Carr says, love for ourselves is not enough. Love for others by itself is not enough. That we have to be part of all three of loving ourselves, loving others, and loving who we perceive as opponents. That all those three together are the revolutionary love that makes and shifts a difference. The Center for Spiritual Living Global Vision says this: we envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area, the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. As a member of the Centers for Spiritual Living, we align with this vision to provide sustaining structures to further the emerging global consciousness that makes a difference. So be willing to notice the irritations in your life without reacting to them. Just notice them. Feel what there is to feel. Notice your fear, your trepidation, your resistance, your opposition. And then make a choice out of your mindfulness, out of your consciousness, to allow yourself to breathe through any discomfort and to choose love for yourself and for the world in this emerging global consciousness. Let's go to prayer. What I know to be true is that we are one. There is no separation in anything with us in this moment. That all of us is God, and God is so much more than we are. So in this moment, we open up to the greater truth of who God is in our lives. That we know that any irritations or challenges we have, we are creating beauty out of them. We are creating greater love, greater truth, because we are allowing Spirit to come through us as us. We know this to be the truth, and so it is.
So when we moved from Seattle to, hello, I'm in a cave. When we moved from Seattle to Santa Rosa 10 years ago, we didn't know about fires. We didn't know about any of that. We know plenty now. And so that always gives you a great, something to go against and to deal with. So here's how we did. Oh, by the way, I do cook, and I made my husband some beautiful muffins. And this was the last one.
Well, yesterday they were creamy. They were like mochi.
I wanted to share it with you guys because you're really understanding. I said, ooh, yeah. The skies are thundering, the storm is realized. Feeling weakness, I close my eyes. In the middle of a raging storm, my heart knows there's a way to a different scene where I'm stronger. Make me a of the divine. Open my eyes and roll. My face is like thine all of the time. My heart is beating in yours. When I'm standing on a mountain top, fires burning all around, hearts are churning. I look in, I know that I no longer feel afraid. My strength and courage are needed. Roll myself higher, oh, my desire of the divine. Open my eyes and roar. My face is like thine all of the time. My heart is beating in your
Could it be in the realm of possibilities? I was never meant to be a sheep. Gonna wake up and roar my mind, not get pushed around this time. I'll roar from a place of reverence, powerful and sleek. Gonna make it to the lair this time. Being the line is blowing my mind.
of the divine. Open my eyes and roar. My face is like thine all of the time. My heart is beating in yours. I am alive. Feel the swish of my tail. I'm gonna be strong now. Yeah, yeah.
This is a time in our service we invite you to be part of the law of circulation. If I could have the ushers come forward. What I know is that which you give, whether you've been giving online or you give here at the service, it flows through you as you. That which you give comes back to you tenfold. So there are many ways to give, and we appreciate all the different ways you can give. and open up to greater prosperity within you. So that which you give, if you've already given, feel free to just put your hand up to your heart, or if you're giving love today, or if you have a financial contribution, place it over your heart and repeat after me this affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate, and so it is.
I just want to thank you.
Dale's back.
For all you bring to me. I
Just want to thank you. Ooh.
Your
Love has set me free.
I
Just want to thank you. Ooh. For all the things to me.
I just want to thank you. Ooh, ooh. Your love has set me free. I just want to thank you. For all you bring to me. I just want to thank you, sweet God, sweet Spirit. Your love has set me free.
Thank you all for your engagement in this community financially and with your heart and soul. Blessings to you. We also like to acknowledge anybody who might be here for the first time. If you're willing to raise your hand, we have a gift for you and we'd love to greet you. Is anybody here for the first time to raise your hand? All the way from Sequim, Washington. Oh, you guys you're Seattle people.
We fell in love in Squim at the
Oh,
Seven
did you hear that?
Cedars Casino.
There's a story for that. You were just squimming around, huh?
In the John Wayne Marina? Oh, man.
All right. Anyway, we need to move on here. We're going to do that, but we didn't want to go on with that story. So we raise our hand with a blessing here for our newbies and everybody here. We say, we bless you today, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. We honor your inner radiance as you let your light shine in the world. And we are grateful for your presence in our community. And so it is. A couple of reminders, if practitioners could come up front. Any practitioners? We have one up front. Okay. They are here. Come on up, Peggy. They're here for prayers after the service. And also, after the service, there's going to be some wonderful pancakes out there. So please partake in that and support our Spanish-speaking ministry. And let's all stand for the community affirmation. Repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
I am led by Spirit. I'm guided by wisdom. I am protected by love. I am here to be a blessing. I am so grateful. And so it is. And now our closing song.
Ready?
Love is my decision.
It's up to me
To give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. No, no, no. Once I decide to change my mind. my decision. My decision right here and now. Verse 2. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Yeah. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. No, no, no. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Yeah. Love is my decision. My decision right here and
Let's go forth as our decision is love. And so it is. Have a great Sunday.
I give you my soul song.
I give you my soul song.
I give you my heart song.
I give you my heart song.
Give you my joy song.
Give you my joy song.
Give you my love song.
Give you my love song. I give you my soul song. I give you my heart song. I give you my joy song. I give you my love song.
I give you my soul song. I give you my heart song. I give you my joy song. Give
Infinite Spirit, Grand Architect, and loving, compassionate Maker of us all, I give thanks this day knowing that this is a wonderful, glorious day. And I'm knowing that my body temple is the temple of the living, loving God. Every atom and cell is filled with the healing power and the loving presence of God. I know that my body temple is God's. It is sacred. It is divinely blessed. I give thanks knowing that this same body temple has given me wonderful service in God's works. I give thanks to knowing that the wholeness of God within me is experienced and expressed as I feed my body temple the right information in nutrition, in exercise, in whatever good this body temple needs for God's works here and now. I speak a special word of healing, of renewing, revitalizing, and repatterning. And so I give thanks speaking this word of wholeness of health and well-being for each and every one moving through any kind of health challenges. And so I call forth peace of body, mind, and soul. And so it is. And I celebrate our joy. Amen.